Want to hear some funny stories from a test driver? Well, stay tuned. Hi, my name's Andy. This is the Q4 channel and I'm talking from the shed. So, as I said, I'm going to tell a few funny stories that have happened to me in the nearly 20 years as a test driver. I test drive prototype cars for the car industry. So over that time, a lot of funny things have happened. Some scary things have happened and some downright atrocious things have happened. But in this sort of mini series I'm going to do, I'm going to talk to you about some of the funny things that have happened in my nearly 20 years as a test driver. This is episode 1. Before we get started, if you haven't already subscribed, hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to hit the bell icon, that way you don't miss out on future content. And as always, if you want to, leave a comment, share the video. So, this happened to me about 7 years ago, and I was testing on the road a very small car. And when I say very small, I mean, think of a smart car on steroids. This had 4 seats, and it was camouflaged. It was camouflage black. Not a very good camouflage, I know, but there are 3 types of camouflage, or should I say 3 main types of camouflage. The first one, I've mentioned this in other videos, is called the geometric decal. They're usually black and white shapes or swirls, come in panels, and they're stuck all over the car, and it hides the shape of the car, because when you take a photo of it, it sort of flattens the shape of the car. This is why cars are done in a nice shiny colour, because if you get lighting on it and take a photo, the light bounces off the shape, makes the car look super sexy in adverts. But of course, they don't want that until they reveal the car, so it's able to hide the shape of the headlights, hide the shape of the side windows, the back window, the rear lights, and if they put blocks underneath these decals, it hides the shape of the vehicle completely. So that's the first type. The second type is what's called a cloth. Now, the cloth is tailor-made to fit the vehicle. It fits the doors, it fits the bonnet, it fits the boot, it fits the roof. It's tailor-made to fit this car. So if it's got a hatchback, there's usually a great big zip that goes all the way around the hatchback that you have to undo to get in and open the hatchback. It's the same with the rear doors if it's got 4 doors. The front doors tend to have their own tailor-made piece of material on. These have pockets in them, and these pockets are usually filled with things like polystyrene blocks, again to hide the shape of the vehicle. That's what was on this car. It's also called netting. And the third type is a bolt-on plastic panel. It literally bolts onto the doors, the bonnet, the side panels, everything. And they're kind of riveted or bolted on, and they're moulded to, again, be a slightly different shape than the vehicle. These are very rigid and quite secure because they're bolted on, so there's no real problem when you pick up speed. And that tends to be the 3 main types of camouflage that are used on vehicle. As I say, I had the second type, which was the black netting. So I'm doing a run at night time between 10 at night and 6 in the morning up north. And I was going up through the Peak District because it gives a car a good workout with all those hills and small windy roads and such like. So I'm in a place called Whaley Bridge. Now, it's not a particularly big village, small town, and I was just coming out the other side of Whaley Bridge on my way towards Macclesfield when I came round a corner and something caught my headlights, and I thought, what the heck's that? Hit the brakes, came to a complete stop, and it was about this long, floating as it seemed in the road, bright pink. I thought, what the hell was that? Then my eyes adjusted and I realised that this was actually the Todger attached to a bull in the middle of the road. Then I realised he wasn't the only bull in the middle of the road. There were dozens of them, and they were trying to hump each other. They were climbing up the back of each other, and that's why they got these great big pink Todgers, and they were all black. You had to let your eyes adjust and your lights get used to what you were seeing. I thought to myself, I've got to get out of there. These are big animals, and they were a lot bigger than the car I was in, I can tell you. You know, if the bull wanted to come up and have a chat with me in the window, it would have had to have bent down quite a lot to talk to me. I looked in my rearview mirror and realised I was surrounded. I looked to my left and I could see this dry stone wall that had collapsed. Obviously it had had some problems in the past, and the farmer, instead of fixing the dry stone wall, had put these clipped together chain link fences, you know, the type that link together and go in concrete blocks. Well, obviously the bulls had figured out that this thing wasn't very rigid, or at night time they couldn't see it. One had leaned against it and it collapsed, and the stone wall went with it, and they just went, freedom! Of course, with that freedom came randiness, and they decided, let's have sexy time together in the middle of the road, this'll be fun. And again, I come round the corner in this little four-seater, not much bigger than a smart car, camouflage black, so I look like them, and I'm stuck in the middle of them. I'm thinking, what do? I can't go back. I've got to move them out the road. I know. I'll hit the hooter. That'll scare them. It didn't. It really didn't. Now, on most cars, most people like a hooter that when you hit it, it's got that attitude, that sound, that presence of, get out of the way, or what do you think you're doing? You know, that kind of deep brrr. This hadn't. If this had a face, this hooter, it would be like this. No, stop it, get out of the way. No, stop it, I don't like it. When I hit this hooter, it went, meh. All this did was attract the curiosity of the bulls. They still wanted sexy time, but the ones nearest to me turned, looked at me as if to say, and what do you want? Now I'm starting to get a little bit worried, because they're paying interest in a vehicle that is, compared to them, tiny. They're also in a randy mood, and I've got this vision in my head of a police officer knocking on my partner's door and saying, we're sorry to tell you, but your partner died in a hilarious accident where he was crushed to death in a small car that a bull tried to hump. I thought, I'm going to get buggered to death by a bull in this car. So I decided I had to go all out. I had to get out of this situation. These bulls were starting to pay far too much attention to me, and to be quite honest with you, the car was getting nudged and I was getting rocked from side to side as they were slowly moving around the car, and the road wasn't particularly wide, so they were having to sort of squeeze past me. And then I saw an opening. I put it in gear, started creeping forward, flashing the lights, and that seemed to work better than the pathetic hooter that this car had. I thought, I'm not getting that again. That just sounds like I was crying, not trying to move them. And there was one bull just left in front of me, and I kept edging forward, and he started to get the attitude like, oh yeah, you want some? Come on, bring it, son, bring it, come on, do you want some? And he starts getting his head down, and I thought, oh no, I don't need this. So I started flashing the lights again, and that sort of startled him. He moved to the side, I was through. I went, oh, thank goodness for that. I just get round another corner, I see this Land Rover coming. I thought, I bet he's the farmer. So again, I flashed my lights, packed my hooter, put the hazard lights on. He stops next to me. I ran my window down. I said, if you're going down there, mate, forget it. The road's full of bulls, and they're all across the road. And he went, what? I think he thought to himself, have you been drinking? Are you hallucinating bulls? Which I wasn't. So he went, oh, all right, mate. And I went, are you the farmer? And he went, no. And off he went. And then I saw him pull round the corner and just brake lights light up the road behind me. And I went, told you. So I went a little bit further, pulled over, and I phoned the police. I said what had happened, where I was, and I gave them the road name. You see, when we go out on these routes, we have a written route plan with all of the road numbers, road names. We also have a map in there. And sometimes, like now, we get sat-navs with the route just for us to follow. Makes it easier. But in those times, you had to learn the route by rote. Anyway, I phoned the police. I gave them the road number, the road name, told them I was just the other side of Whaley Bridge on the way to Matlock. And this is what the police dispatcher said to me. "We don't seem to have that road on our maps." Really? I mean, really? You've got Google Earth before Google Earth, and you are the police, and you haven't got a road on it. And I said, look, it's the main road out of Whaley Bridge towards Matlock. Towards Macclesfield. And they went, no. I gave them the B number. It was like a B11473 or whatever it was. And they said, well, we'll dispatch somebody anyway. I said, you really need to. I said, because these bulls are just scattered all across the road. And if they start wandering, you're going to have a bigger problem. So that was what happened to me the night I nearly got buggered to death by bulls in the middle of the night. I hope you found it funny. To me, it was funny afterwards. At the time, I was more than a little bit nervous because these were big beasts, and also they weren't in the mood to be told what to do. They'd got their minds on other things. And when you come in the middle of the night, I can understand why people say they see UFOs, because all I could see were great big bright pink todgers floating along the road until my eyes adjusted and I could see that they were bulls. Anyway, let's finish with a little bit of humour. So, this guy visits a farmer, and when he gets there he says, I can't help but notice that spectacular looking pig you have on the driveway up here. He goes, oi, that pig, aye, that's a grand pig that is. He goes, but it's got a wooden leg. He goes, it's a smart pig that is. He says, yeah, it's a smart pig. He says, and I'll tell you a few story about that pig. He says, I was working out in the fields. He says, my missus, she were in the kitchen in the farmhouse. He says, my little un, he were only about 5 at the time, he were down by the river. And now I've told him not to get too close to that river because, you know, accidents happen. He says, but yeah, boys will be boys. He were down there and messing about, throwing stones. He overbalanced, fell in the water. Can't swim, the little bugger. So I couldn't hear him shouting for help. My missus, she were in there listening to the radio. She couldn't hear him shouting for help. That pig heard him shout for help, jumped the stile, ran down to the river, jumped in, grabbed my lad by the collar, dragged him out. See that boy's life. I goes, well, that's amazing. That's really good. He says, you must be so pleased. He goes, well, right, I was. He says, tell you another story. He says, I were out working in the fields as I do. I'm a farmer. He says, anyway, my nipper, he's at school by now. He's 7. Says, the missus in the kitchen, all of a sudden chip fan goes up, spills everywhere. She's caught in the kitchen. There's fire up there. She can't get out. She's screaming for help. Well, of course I can't hear her. I'm down in the field. He says, my boy can't hear her. He's at school. That pig heard her though. He jumped the stile, barged his way through that kitchen door. Fire and flames everywhere. Didn't bother that pig. Brave pig, I'm telling you. Went in there. By the time now, my missus, she's on the floor, overcome by the smoke. But the pig braves himself, singes his back, he did, but he grabbed out of my missus, dragged her outside, saved her life. He goes, well, that's amazing. He goes, aye, it is. He goes, but why's the pig got a wooden leg? He says, well, a pig that good, you don't eat all at once. Poor little piggy. Anyway, as always, you people, be happy, be healthy, but above all else, take care of yourself, because if you don't, who will? Goodbye now.